Shy women, what hints did you give to your crush that completely went over their heads? Ask help on questions I already knew the answers to. Lord, that's not even a hint. I am hopeless. I'm not shy, but my current partner, 3YRS, took forever to notice that I liked him. I kept inviting him over after school to watch Netflix and cuddle. We even held hands sometimes. Whenever I was drunk, I would send him kissy faces. I would sit next to him in any class I could. When we hugged, I injured for a full minute. This went on for like 6 months. When I finally decided I should just kiss him, he was really surprised. He had slept over in my room and we were planning to go to the flea market together. Dude. Sent theme song. ABBA, Take a Chance on Me. Told him his smell reminds me of forest and that I like his voice. Maybe it wasn't a strong enough hint. I was on top of my class. Excellent programming skills. Kept borrowing his C++ assignment every week even though LD already completed mine. And it also so happened that we had to take the same college bus. So I would get off the bus a few stops after my actual bus stop so that could just stare at him a little more, and then I would walk all the way home smiling and thinking about him the whole way. He knew it wasn't my actual bus stop. Yep, he probably thought I was a creep. After 2 months of mutual flirting. Me, hey, we should get lunch before the semester ends. Him, oh, I'm really busy with finals and stuff. Not sure I can. Me. Why don't I give you my number and you can text me if you're free? You could practically see the gears whir. He figured it out the next day and we dated for several years. I joined his soccer team in uni. I hate soccer and as a friend/floor mate, he knew this. He needed one more player to make a team and was going around our dorm asking if anyone would join. I said something like I'll join, just 'cause it's you. I'm pretty sure he took it as me doing it because we were friends, haha. I'm relatively shy but I just try to talk and make eye contact. But all my crushes have found out that I liked them because apparently I turn redder than a tomato when I face my crush. Game with him till midnight every day even on work days for a few weeks. It was so much fun and I completely fell for him, but he thought I was just a good friend. WEL. Can't blame him, it's not really a hint. 2 weeks later I asked him on a date and told him I would miss him the most when I would change jobs. He was a colleague. 1.5 years later we're still together, smiley face. Dude here, not my place to comment but half of these answers are things guys have been told on Reddit specifically to not take as flirting. LOL, these all kind of fit under the woman being polite does not mean they are flirting or men stop hitting on any woman who talks to you. Humans are complicated, curious, confusing and confused. Woman, you have nothing to fear from opening up to guys. We will think nothing less of you unless you are a stage 5 clinger. Be obvious, there is a 90% chance most of these guys assumed you didn't want them stepping on your shoes. Dudes of the world are all over the spectrum of thinking every girl likes them to thinking no girl will ever like them. We are all as different as you ladies. Good hunting, keep being awesome. To the lesbians of the world, I have no advice. People confuse me and people with vaginas confuse me even more. Looked at him, laughed at his jokes, made sure he knew I was on Tinder. He did not acknowledge any of it. Edit, he was on Tinder too. We were friendly-ish, occasionally talked about struggles of dating. Without sounding pathetic, made it clear I was single and looking. Avoided eye contact at all times, blushed profusely whenever he spoke to me, couldn't think of anything to say to him so the conversation was super awkward. Oh, and also told him about how I love being single, which is at least a 50% lie. I mean, there were so many hints, how did he not get it? Baffling. He's very good at reading people, so I think he knows and is being gracious about it. We're friends. Although I don't get the vibe he's into me, I totally suck at reading people, so who knows. I gave him baked goods I made on multiple occasions that happened to accommodate his dietary restrictions, which he knows I do not have. LOL, said I was trying to be healthier and that it was more convenient for me to use the alternate ingredients, both of which are true, but I did go to extra lengths so he could eat it. I was carrying very hot water. I said hot stuff coming through, I also have this water. I call him an angel when he does stuff that helps me out. I often use I love in conversation, like if I agree with him or he makes a joke, I'll say I love that, or I'll say something like I love that you think X, because I am guilty of staring into his eyes and smiling for probably way too long when he talks. I have also caught myself triangle gazing because he has nice teeth, and he told me he's been studying body language, so I'm probably royally screwed by now. I'm not sure if this counts, but I worked at a grocery store in high school, and when my crush was working, he was in produce, I was a cashier, I would request to be put on the express lane. Everyone, including myself, hated that lane because you are totally isolated without a bagger or anyone to talk to all day. But it was right next to produce, so I could look at and try to strike up conversation with my crush, and I noticed he usually used the express lane on his lunch break. So I could say hi for 2 seconds when he came through my line. This went on for 4 years. Then we both went off to college. I happened to see him after college, and actually asked him out. That was 5 years ago, and we are now engaged. T knew I had a good feeling about that produce guy. He says he had no idea. Liked him back in high school. So I guess all those days spent alone in the express lane were a waste. We had class together and I put myself in the friend zone, but one of my friends drunkenly told him I wanted to invite him to our sorority formal, but I was too scared, and he drunkenly invited himself to go with me. We are now married. I straight up for the first time offered to take her to a restaurant for dinner. She did not take it as a date. I kept dropping hints to my crush, but then I got tired of it and grabbed his hand while we were out walking, holding it and telling him, "Hey, this is a sign that I like you. We've been together for 6 months. Sent him a meme. Stayed after work every day for hours to hang out with him, then messaged outside of work. We stayed up chatting till 2 a.m. every day for 6 months for me to find out the dude had a GF. Then he had the gall to ask me why I don't come online to talk to him anymore. Again, hung around after get-togethers for everyone else to leave in an attempt to spend some one-on-one time with them. I had 2 guys with the same name in my classroom, and one of them was my crush. I texted him to ask which one he was, already knew. Just an excuse to talk to him. He never replied to me. And he talks about it to his friends and made fun of me. Jerk. Not my story, but my aunt went on a date with a man who is now my uncle. At the end of the date she mentioned she was thirsty, hoping they could go get dinner or SMTH, and he just said, "Yeah, me too, I'll drive you home real quick." We were friends and he was in my dorm room. It was late and I offered him to cuddle in my bed if he wanted. Idiot literally laid in bed with me for hours while I was trying to hint at getting him to kiss me. He did not. Had to just do it myself. We're now married with 2 kids. At least he got it eventually. What I don't communicate verbally, I make up through calculated body language. Most men are deaf to that language, unfortunately. I dated a guy from work several years ago. When I was initially trying to tell him I was interested, I literally came up to him and said he was cute. Shortly after, he asked if I'd be in the lunchroom at a certain time for something, and I said, "Well, I only have lunch in there to hang out with you anyway, nothing." Sometime later, he helped some friends and I moved me from one apartment to another, and it took us being alone in a room full of boxes for him to be able to say he thought I was hitting on him. What was your first clue, sweetheart? We dated for 2 months. Turns out we just weren't compatible romantically but stayed friends. He's still clueless. Asked if he needed help with an exercise he was doing at the gym. Turns out he did. And the message flew over his head. Sigh. Not a woman, but here's an example of a hint going over my head. A couple years ago, this really cute introverted girl LD met a few months prior invites herself into my barracks room so I can help her with her homework. I had no idea what the class was about. She then proceeds to sit on my bed and ask me to take a look at a passage on her laptop. At this point we're sitting next to each other on my bed and I can smell her perfume, and I remember thinking to myself, why would anyone wear perfume at 8 p.m. on a weekday just to do homework? As I'm reading the passage I notice she's looking at me and I'm thinking, okay, maybe she needs to look at someone when they're reading to help her understand. God help me, L actually thought this. She then tells me that I have really nice legs and I'll respond with thanks, I grew them myself. I know it's not original, but I didn't know what to say at the moment cause I was caught off guard. After this she looked at me in my eyes for a noticeable amount of time. We finished the homework, I think, and she went on her way. She stopped talking to me shortly after this. Anyways, yeah. I'm clueless. We both got put in the same group for a big dance showcase in our university. Part of our group's dance is in pairs and the choreographers told us we can either declare our dance partner, or they'll assign us randomly. So I asked my friend, who obviously I had a crush on, if he wanted to be partners. He said no and I was crushed. Weeks later this came up again and it turns out he was zoned out and said no, hoping it was the right answer, rather than asking me to repeat myself. Thankfully, our dumb asses still managed to get together like 6 months later.